Hey, here are 5 stupid things I've noticed about Holocaust denial. It seeks to exonerate Hitler and the Nazis. How big of an asshole do you have to be to believe the Holocaust didn't happen? Not only are you straight up ignoring an historical consensus based on mountains of evidence, and more on that in a second, you're letting Hitler and his regime off the hook for one of the most horrific crimes against humanity ever perpetrated. Who sides with the Nazis? Other Nazis, mostly, I guess. And your real bottom shelf $10 a jug dumbasses. In fact, I bet those two groups have a lot of overlap. It defies the scientific method. I've read and listened to a fair amount of the bilge vomited forth by Holocaust deniers over the years, and not once have I ever encountered someone who convinced me that he arrived at his conclusion that the Holocaust never happened through an honest and unbiased examination of the evidence. Holocaust deniers, like creationists, like truthers, like conspiracy theorists of all types, start with their conclusion and then shape their theory so that the evidence appears to point toward it. And this is what serious investigators and legitimate historians refer to as the wrong way. It ignores eyewitness testimony and historical documents. Holocaust deniers like to crow that no one has ever found an official order from Hitler to carry out the Holocaust. But for that point to be convincing, you have to ignore the numerous other surviving Third Reich documents that clearly suggest not only that the Holocaust was being carried out, but that it was ultimately Hitler's idea and was being done with his authority. We have statements from Hitler's top lieutenants, including Joseph Goebbels and Heinrich Himmler, indicating that Hitler had ordered the extermination of the Jews, and we have Hitler's own statements from Mein Kampf and other sources where he makes his intention to annihilate the Jews as clear as it can possibly be. According to legitimate modern historians, the absence of an explicit written order to carry out the Holocaust is due either to the fact that Hitler avoided making such an order in order to prevent public protest of the policy in Germany, or to the fact that the order existed but either hasn't been found yet for some reason or was destroyed along with many other documents before the Third Reich fell to the Allies at the end of the war. It ignores and distorts scientific evidence. One of the most persistent and stupid and offensive claims of Holocaust deniers is that Jews weren't actually killed in gas chambers at death camps like Auschwitz, Sobibor, and Treblinka. Some deniers claim that what modern historians call gas chambers were actually buildings used for sanitation, for delousing inmates, not for mass murder. But for this claim to be in the least bit credible, you have to ignore not only the numerous scientific studies conducted on death camp sites, which have found concentrations of cyanide consistent with lethal amounts of the pesticide Zyklon B being present, but also the archaeological and photographic evidence that establishes that buildings used as gas chambers had square holes cast into their concrete roofs through which Zyklon B could be introduced into the building without endangering the murderers outside. These buildings were designed and built for the specific purpose of exterminating people. It is a fact. It both originates from and feeds into anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Anti-Semitism is the cause and sustaining force of Holocaust denialism, but it is also sustained by denialism. It's like a dog that lives from eating its own shit. The consensus among deniers seems to be that the Jews invented the Holocaust as a pretext for the creation of the state of Israel. Yeah, that makes sense. They sell the entire world on an imaginary genocide just so they can make for themselves a tiny country in one of the shittiest parts of the world where all of their neighbors immediately swear to wipe them off the map. It doesn't say much for that feared Jewish intellect, does it? In fact, it sounds like the Jews were way better off before they made up the Holocaust and created Israel, when they were merely in control of the fate of the entire world. Which they still are, apparently, from what I'm told. In fact, there's probably some shit-for-brains neo-Nazi watching this right now who's convinced that I only made this video to kiss up to my Jewish masters. In which case, I have to ask, do you think this might be worth a raise? Probably not. You know how tight those people are with money. In all seriousness, though, if there are any neo-Nazis watching this, go fuck yourselves. The hardest part is only picking 5. Catch you next time.